Now be careful what you wish for. In a soundbite heard around the world last week, BP CEO Tony Hayward said he wanted his life back. Well, he may get it back, but not in the way he'd hoped. For now, BP's board is backing Hayward, but doubts are growing he can last after all the damage to BP's reputation, not to mention the stock price. Brayden King, assistant professor at the Kellogg School of Management in Chicago, specializes in governance and leadership. Brayden, what grade would you give Tony Hayward?
Well, he hasn't been doing very well. I think he's been handling the reputational and image consequences of this crisis poorly. So I think I'd give him an F in that regard.
An F. Well, pretty hard to do worse than that. There is a whole lot to choose from. But what among all the things Hayward has done and said stand out for you as especially egregious?
Well, it's hard to say how he's done on handling the technical consequences of the environmental crisis. I think we have to give him the benefit of the doubt that he has done as well as he can. But where he's done poorly is in handling the stakeholders of the company, who have big expectations about his ability to calm the public, to show that he is in charge and that they're going to be able to handle this in the near future without damaging the reputation of the company. And in that regard, I think he's done very poorly. He has said a number of things that have come across as insensitive, showing that he lacks sympathy to the members of the communities who are directly affected by the oil spill. And he's also said a few things that have been less than true. He has discounted at various times the impact of the oil spill. And in the end, this is going to come back to haunt them, I think, in the long-term consequences for the firm's reputation.
Brayden, are some of Tony Hayward's critics perhaps being a bit unfair? Because I wonder, honestly, could anybody come out of a disaster like this looking good?
No, I mean, nobody can come away from this looking good. What he needs to do is add as much, or at least stop the outflow of reputational capital that the company has created for itself. Now, keep in mind, this is a company that for years has tried to construct itself as a socially responsible, environmentally friendly oil company. If you were to talk about BP 10 years ago, they were sort of on the cutting edge of this field of social responsibility. And under his watch, they've only gone downhill. It's not just this oil spill, it's also the recent safety problems that they've had in other facilities, in the Texas facility. That happened before he came into office, but he was in charge of, he was an executive of the company before then, and certainly under his leadership, he hasn't done anything to prevent the further damage to this reputation. This is a company that has a lot at stake because it has projected itself as a socially responsible company.
Brayden, if Tony Hayward deserves an F in part for being insensitive and a poor communicator, what about President Obama? Some people have complained that he hasn't shown enough sensitivity and hasn't communicated the government's position on this bill well enough.
That may be the case. I think President Obama, though, is not the person that investors are looking to with regard to this oil spill. When it comes to investors, they want to know what Tony Hayward is going to say. They want to know that the board is going to take him make him accountable for the actions of the firm. And in the beginning, he tried to distance himself from the oil spill, tried to put some of the blame more on the oil rig. And while clearly the oil rig operators had some, were obviously need to be held accountable for this, they were also employees or contracted by BP to handle this job. And so, President Obama is not the person that investors are going to look to handle the repercussions of this oil spill. They're going to care what Tony Hayward does.